Hello, good evening and welcome to Joy News Prime. We are coming to you live from our studios here in Accra, live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 125. Also around the world on myjoyonline.com. My name is Samuel Kojo-Broyce.
And I am Faustina Safo. Tonight, government files criminal charges against two former officials of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund over their roles in the failed ACRA Skytrain project. We have details of the charges against them.
Also, minority considers impeachment proceedings against President John Mahama, accusing him of willfully breaching the constitution by traveling abroad without leaving an acting president in charge.
Also tonight, we have a reaction from the NDC, who are describing the minority's claims as baseless.
And tension mounts in the criminal trial of former National Signals Bureau boss Kwabena Eduboahene, as his lawyer hints that the accused may be forced to reveal top state secrets in his defense.
We have details as it emerges that Eduboahene has been rearrested by Yoko on fresh charges.
Well, former board chair of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, Professor Christopher Ameyaw Ekunfi, and former CEO Solomon Asamoah are facing criminal charges over the failed $3 billion Accra Skytrain project. Now, the charges stem from allegations of financial mismanagement and lack of due diligence, including a $2 million payment made to Africa Investor Holdings in 2019 before feasibility studies were conducted. The charges, which were filed at the Criminal Division of the Accra High Court in Accra by the Attorney General, include willfully causing financial loss to the state and intentional dissipation of public funds. Legal Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante joins with more details from the charge sheet and what we can expect next. Kweku, let's start with the key charges brought against the two accused. What are they?
To the charge sheets that have since been filed in court, the two main charges that these accused persons are facing has to do with conspiracy to willfully cause financial loss to the state and intentional dissipation of public funds and other related offences, all of them relating to the Criminal and Other Offences Act, as well as the Public Property Protection Decree. In total, they are charged with 6 counts in this matter.
We understand the High Court has granted a 15 million Ghana cedis bail to former CEO Solomon Asamoah with two sureties. Again, Professor Ameyaw Ekunfi was not in court because he's indisposed. His plea, we understand, will be heard on the 20th of May 2025. Meanwhile, Deputy Attorney General Dr. Justice Rimsai has been talking about the theory of the prosecution in the Skytrain financial loss trial.
Money, which is $2 million, was allegedly used to purchase shares in a company in Seychelles. As we speak, the accused persons and the board of directors of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund do not know anything about what the money has been used for, where the money is, whatever would happen, where the company itself is. So our case was simple, that you have taken taxpayers' money. You have used the taxpayers' money for a purpose which has not been approved by the board, has not been approved by any authority, and you have thrown this money outside of the country through bank transfer. We don't know where the money is, and you are not able to tell us where the money is. So until you tell us where this money is, or you bring the money and or the fruits of the money or the intended purpose of the money, the laws of Ghana would require you to pay with your personal liberty or bring the money. So based on these laws, we think that the case must be arraigned before the court, and that is basically our story.
Well, I still have with me Kweku Asante on the lines. Kweku, let's zoom in on the actual charges. 6 different counts. What are the details?
Well, Faustina, again, if you refer to the charge sheet and the details, the accused, Solomon Asamoah, was actually the CEO of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund between 2017 and 2024. And Professor Ameyaw Ekunfi, a former minister and a respected academic, he chaired GATE's board between 2017 and 2021. Prosecutor says these two persons cannot account for the $2 million they pay. If you look at the keys, the substance, it says, according to the charge sheet, both accused persons, while leading gifts as the board chair and CEO, did authorize the transfer of about $2 million to a group called Africa Investment Holdings for shares in the AI Skytrain consortium. The problem, however, is that despite these payments, there was no proper board approval or due diligence. That is the state of the case. And the Skytrain project has also never been built. Just like you stated with Grace, these two persons have all now been formally charged. The Mr. Amir has not been well, and so his plea has not been taken. But that of Solomon has been taken. He has been granted a bail, and his sureties have to be justified in court before he can be released. That will mean certainly that this evening is going to spend that night in the custody of the state. But that is the government of the case that have been built against these two individuals by the state in the Skytrain scandal for Sinam.
Asante. Meanwhile, we've been hearing from the Deputy Attorney General. He says that government will do whatever it takes to retrieve any stolen money. Let's listen to him.
Frank here, our policy of recover the loot is simply primary. I mean, the first objective is to get the money. Because this country, as we know, has lost so much money through some of these decisions that public officials, some political, some civil, have made in this country. The primary objective of the ORA is to recover the money. We are open, and we cannot be tired of saying that we are open for anyone any of the accused persons or suspects in the other cases who think that they have the money and could return the money. We will be happy to have these monies to be used to solve some of the problems that we have in this country. Healthcare problems, transportation problems, salary problems, so many other problems that we have, sanitation problems. President Mahama is interested in solving those problems, and we need money to solve them. So again, let me repeat that we will be happy to take any money that anyone has. And of course, the law allows us to have plea bargaining, which means that based on certain conditions and circumstances, we could vary the case that we put before the courts or the consequence of the crimes that we are alleging in court. So once we do that, and let me tell you, a number of people have approached us with offers, some including money being returned. And we have agreed with some of them, and some of them have agreed to be witnesses for us against some of the accused persons. So I think we are on track when it comes to the recovery. There's no better way of recovering the money than voluntary recovery. So if the people are willing to give us, we will take it.
Well, let's broaden the conversation here on Joy News Prime. I'm bringing in Sanu. He's an anti-corruption campaigner. He's also co-chair of Citizen Movement Against Corruption. We appreciate your time here on Joy News Prime. Now, you've followed many high-profile corruption cases over the years. What is your initial reaction to the charges filed against the two former GIFF officials?
I think that this is a very appropriate action. I mean, what has been on my mind is, why has it taken so long? It's almost the first time I'm hearing about the fact that this money was paid and it's not been retrieved. I'm wondering why it took so long for us to get to this point. It probably underscores the lack of enforcement of our laws that has consistently deprived us of resources and making amends when money have been fraudulently taken away from the state. So I think it's a good action. If there are any other such payments that have been made illegitimately without the due diligence, and the persons involved can be identified, I think that we should make all efforts to retrieve those sums of money.
And what reforms would you recommend to prevent similar incidents, particularly where feasibility studies and board approvals are sidestepped?
It's actually shocking to be told that a board chair and a chief executive could sign checks that had no other processes involved. Because usually the check process is a three-step at least, where you have one person making the request, another approving to show that and then a third person who does make the payment. And in that system, for most of the MDAs. You would have other persons who would look at it. The internal systems need to be checked because, in my mind, for the chief executive to have gone above certain thresholds, you would need a board approval. If there's no board approval attachment, where there's a board decision that explicitly stated that this has been approved, it's astounding that this could have gotten the consent and the payment made. So I think that we got to cross-check what internal systems were in these organizations and make the necessary remedies such that these kinds of payments cannot be made. There should be certain upper ceilings in terms of thresholds above which you need to have the documentation clear that the entire board has given approval, and without which such kinds of payments ought not to have been made.
Thank you so much, Adam Sanu, an anti-corruption campaigner.
Moving on, the minority in parliament say they are considering starting impeachment proceedings against President John Mahama. The MPP accused the president of engineering what they call an egregious breach of the constitution, which has left Ghana without an acting president. President Mahama has been out of the country since last week. His vice has been on sick leave, with Speaker of Parliament Alban Barr being also currently outside the jurisdiction.
And as a people of Ghana, we must all fight against this act of the president. We should, and the problem is that at the time the president was leaving, the Speaker of Parliament had already left. So when the president was leaving the country, he knew, or at best ought to have known, that he was going to create that vacuum and that his leaving the country was going to be a breach of the constitution. But now Emperor Mr. President decided that, look, I am the emperor, I can do whatever I like. Damn the consequence, and left the country. Is that what we voted the president for? To briefly violate our constitution? And so we will keep bringing these up. And at the appropriate time, if we have to invoke the impeachment proceedings, we will do so. We will not sit idly by for the constitution given to us to be violated without any consequence.
But the NDC MP for Bodi and Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Samson Ahi, says the NPP claims are baseless.
The Constitution has specified that in the absence of the president, the vice president assumes leadership of the country. In the absence of the vice president, the speaker is sworn in by the chief justice to assume leadership in the country. Equally, in the absence of the speaker, the mantle falls on the chief justice. Do we have chief justice in this country or not? Yes, we have His Lordship Justice Bafu Bone as the acting chief justice. So it is believed that Justice Bafu Bone has assumed the mantle of leadership in the absence of these three personalities that I have mentioned. So Bafu Bone is in firm control of affairs in our country. So there is no leadership crisis. There is nothing like that.
Well, let's go on to the phone lines now and speak to Kweku Ansah-Asare. He is a former director of the Ghana School of Law and has interesting views on this particular matter. I'm grateful to you for joining us here. Now, what do you make of what's happening? The MPP says there's a lacuna and therefore they want to impeach the president. The Deputy Minister of Trade says no, the acting CJ is the one acting president. But what do you make of what's happening?
Okay, thank you. I think that there's no lacuna, even though it seems to the nation that we have not been given the full fact. I think the president posted on his Facebook that he visited the vice president. And we all know that the president has been around. And therefore, if the president visited, the vice president, it seems to me that the vice president, is in the country. And if the vice president is in the country, it means that the vice president is not absent, within the meaning of the constitutional provision of absence. So to that extent, there's no lacuna. If the vice president is in the country, she is not absent. She is within the country. But let's just suppose, for the sake of argument, that the vice president is outside the country, which denied, having regard to the president's visitation only 2 days ago. I would say that maybe the lacuna may stem from the fact that we are told that the speaker has also traveled out. But the acting chief justice, we have not been told has traveled out. So I should like to believe that the acting chief justice is around. The question, that will therefore arise is, has the acting chief justice been sworn in? If the acting chief justice has not been sworn in, whose fault? Is it the fault of the president or the vice president or the speaker that the acting chief justice has not been sworn in, or the fault of the chief of staff? So how do we say that, or the minority, justify the accusation that the president has violated a particular provision of the Constitution? They should show me the particular provision which says that the president, has to, at all costs, swear in the person to act. If the president is not, the candidate can be swear in, the acting chief justice.
Okay.
It must be, the acting chief justice must be sworn in by the speaker who has traveled, and therefore the deputy speaker has to do that. So if you want to impeach, it is not the president you are impeaching. It may be the deputy whose constitutional, responsibility was not carried out. Is
it automatic that the deputy speaker must do it, or someone must inform him that because of the absence of the 3 people, you have to swear in the acting CJ as the acting president?
If we go by the constitutional framework, then it is incumbent on the president to notify the speaker in writing, signed by him, that he's leaving the country. So that is where we have to, start the whole, blame game. Did the president so act? Was the notification given in accordance with the constitutional, provision? If in the absence of the president, the next person is the speaker, do we know whether or not the speaker is still outside? We have not been told anything, that the speaker is within or without the country. If the president, the vice president is in the country, there's no need, for anyone to be sworn in, because what the Constitution says is, if the president is absent, if the vice president is absent, if the speaker is absent, so if there is any evidence that the vice president is in the country, there's no need, for anyone to act.
Okay. All right. I'm grateful to you, sir, for joining.
Well, let me bring in the Majority Chief Whip, Roxanne Nelson Dafiamepa. We appreciate your time here on Joe News Prime. I want you to clarify for me. Is the Speaker in the country as we speak?
Thank you very much. For the record, the Speaker is outside of the jurisdiction. It's a matter of record. The President is also outside of the jurisdiction, which is also a matter of record. And then the Vice President is also on some medical leave, also outside of the jurisdiction, which is also a matter of record.
It brings me to my next question. Has the acting Chief Justice been sworn in to take up the role of the President?
Now, this is a beaten path. If you recall, this matter went to the Supreme Court. In the case that, if you recall, in the 6th Parliament, when there was an issue raised by, again, the then minority regarding whether or not Speaker Doa Jao ought to take the oath of office when President John Mahama and the Vice President Mr. Atta left the jurisdiction. And it was litigated, and the Supreme Court decided that there ought to be no ceremony about this, especially because the oath of office, which the Speaker swore at the time of taking office, it implies that in the absence of the President and the Vice President, he will act. So he did not take another oath of office. So the Constitution provides for this. When the President is absent, he notifies the Speaker and inform the Speaker that in accordance with the constitutional provisions, the Vice President will act in his stead. It doesn't come with a ceremony.
So from where you sit, there hasn't been any constitutional breach? Is that the case?
Hold on. And again, when the Vice President is also absent after the President has also left the jurisdiction, the Speaker is notified. Then the Speaker simply acts. Speaker Badwin has acted as the President before. There was no ceremony. There was no swearing in. So why would anybody today say that in the absence of the President, the Vice, and the Speaker, the Chief Justice, as it is supposed to be sworn in, and that not having been done, there's a leadership lacuna. I don't get it. This is constitutional law 101. I think the minority are on a journey to nowhere. There's no issue at all. There's no issue. We don't have leadership crisis in terms of the constitutional architecture.
We appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Look for something for us to discuss, because
point noted.
This is a different path. This is trite.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your time here on Joy News Prime. Well, away from that, the new Patriotic Party is calling on the Office of the Special Prosecutor to launch a formal investigation into the Chief Executive Officer of Gold Board, Sammy Gyamfi, over the recent controversy surrounding the dollar gift to self-styled evangelist Patricia Isiama, also known as Nana Grada. The party alleges that there are serious questions surrounding the source of Mr. Gyamfi's wealth and insists that his action may constitute a breach of Ghana's foreign exchange laws.
Well, the MPP argues that only a thorough, independent probe can establish whether any financial misconduct or impropriety has occurred. Their call comes a few hours after a private citizen, Eric Dumenu Akachi, filed a petition with the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Raj, calling for an investigation into the matter. There's more in the following report.
PP's national organizer Henry Nanabuachi has urged the president to take swift action against Sammy Gyamfi for giving out dollars to Nana Grada, warning that failure to do so would render his recently launched code of conduct useless.
Among the several laws breached by Sammy Gyamfi are Section 3, 1, and 4 of the Foreign Exchange Act, Act 723, which prohibits a person engaging in the business of dealing in foreign exchange without a license issued under the Act. Dealing in foreign exchange under the Act includes the receipt or payment of foreign currency, which Sammy Gyamfi is seen to have been doing in the video. The Bank of Ghana has, over the years, issued several notices cautioning that without an authorization from the Bank of Ghana, no person is permitted to advertise, price, pocket, receive, gift, make payment of goods and services in foreign exchange, including United States dollars. Unsurprisingly, Mr. Sammy Gyamfi, like an incorrigible child, has blatantly violated both obligations under the code, and the president must, in accordance with Section 6 of his pledge, at page 9 of the code, deal swiftly and decisively with Mr. Sammy Gyamfi.
The opposition MPP has again called on President Mahama to ensure that all NDC executives who currently hold public office resign from their party positions to uphold the integrity of governance.
Or Section 2, this is more important. Section 2 of the Public Services Act prohibits public officers from engaging in business or holding any other positions that might undermine their impartiality and efficiency in their official capacities. The continued holding of political appointments alongside public office positions undermines the principle of neutrality in public service, and these individuals remain bound by their party loyalties.
Well, the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC has admitted Sammy Gyamfi's gesture to Nana Grada was a misjudgment, but says the acting CEO of the Gold Board has shown leadership by apologizing and taking responsibility. Speaking to Elton Brobe on the Pulse, Mustapha Gbande said the party respects public concerns, but insists no law was broken.
It didn't sit well with a lot of people. I think they are right, and we take responsibility and join our colleague to still apologize to the people of Ghana. It will never happen. We will keep learning. But it doesn't give anybody from the MPP an audacity to sit on TV and to want to criticize this matter, because they don't have any moral credibility as far as corruption-related offenses are concerned. They themselves represent corruption. That is what we have seen in the last 8 years. We have evidence of MPP ministers involved in money laundering. They shouldn't start, because when they start, they would have to run out of this country or begin to bring it out. We know MPP appointees who didn't have land cruisers before the appointment, and they own now properties in cantonment. If that is the way to go, we are ready for them. But I don't think that we waste our time on these matters. If someone lodges a complaint against any appointee, he or she will make himself available for the laws to be tested.
All right.
But when it gets to their turn, they should be willing to allow the laws to be tested as well.
All right. Well, let's look at the possible laws that this action could breach. Caleb is a member of our research team and joins us in studio with more. Caleb Ziblim, let's understand what are the possible laws that this could possibly affect.
So according to the MPP, Mr. Sami Jemvi has breached the Foreign Exchange Act, the Anti-Money Laundering Act, and also the Presidential Code of Conduct, which was launched last week, somewhere last week. And so if you look at the Foreign Exchange Act, Act 2006, Section 3.1, which was quoted by the party, it says, a person shall not engage in the business of dealing in a foreign exchange without a permit from the Bank of Ghana.
Where dealing means what exactly?
Yeah. So the Act further breaks down what they mean by that. And if you look at B, that's where the minority was emphasizing, receipts or payments of foreign currency.
But in this case, it wasn't a payment, it was a gift. Does it still cover it?
Well, this is what the Act says. Receipts or payments of foreign currency. And also, D says lending and borrowing of foreign currency. So this will, you have to determine motive and all of that. So this is up to the courts to decide. But from the minority's perspective, receipts or payments of foreign currency is a breach of the Foreign Exchange Act 2006. And if you move down, also the Anti-Money Laundering Act 1044, Section 1.2 of the Act says, a person commits an offense if the person converts, conceals, disguises, or transfers property that is or forms part of proceeds of unlawful activity.
Now, you need to determine what is an unlawful activity in association to what Sami Jemvi did.
And the MPP says that because he has not been paid, and
then the proceeds could be from an unlawful activity.
But that has to be determined by an investigation. And then if you come to the 2025 Code of Conduct, which was launched a few days ago, the minority also pointed that in the code, and we've checked this, manage personal affairs in a manner that can stand the closest public scrutiny, with emphasis on the closest public scrutiny. Also, take reasonable care to maintain the integrity and reputation of the ministerial office. So from the
these are in the code. And so they are referring to this code.
But the code doesn't specifically talk about you giving out money. It's more about you receiving money. But then when the president launched the code, he said all political appointees must declare and manage any potential conflicts of interest, must avoid opulence, which is what the minority is talking about here, the opulence which was displayed, and be accountable for public funds. This is what the minority is alleged.
Interesting. Let's see how this goes. We also know that a private citizen has petitioned the Shraj to investigate the matters. All of this will be put to strict proof during the investigation process. Let's see how that will go.
Well, meanwhile, law lecturer Professor Kojo P.J. Chia is charging President Mahama to take decisive action.
Yeah, but again, I don't think the code of conduct talks about giving out money as being in one of the conducts that should be avoided. I think it's rather deals with receiving money. But in the issue of opulence and ostentatious living is clearly shown in the video. And I think the president would certainly have to take certain action on this matter, either some suspension or some repudiation. Something should be done. It shouldn't be left to political commentators to just play ball with it and then feel that we will forget about it the next day and move on to something else.
Well, quite an interesting development there. This is Joining Prime. We'll take a break here. We'll be back with more. Please do stay. Welcome back from the break. This is Johnny's Prime.
Let's do other stories now. Tension is rising in the high-stakes trial of former National Signals Bureau boss Kwabena Aduboahene, as his legal team hints at a defense that could shake the foundation of the national security.
The trial judge, His Lordship Justice John Eugene Nyandu Nyante, inquired from the Attorney General, who was represented by his deputy, Justice Shremsai, whether or not they have secured the witness statement. If you recall, the Attorney General made a case that Mr. Aduboahene was attempting to interfere or compromise a potential witness, if you like, and that is the reason why he was put in or on remand for 7 working days. So the judge sought to ask if indeed the Attorney General or prosecution for that matter had secured the witness statement from that witness, which Justice Shremsai responded in the affirmative. Now, when he did that, then the judge said now he expects an expedited trial because, quote unquote, persons' liberties are in contention. Those were the words of the trial judge. And so the Deputy Attorney General told the court at that point that Mr. Kwabena Aduboahene is actually on bail because the 7 working day that was given had run out. But then at the tail end of it, after the trial judge has set May 20th as a deadline for the submission or the filing of disclosures and witness statements, and then adjourned the case to the 26th, lawyer Atachia got on his feet and made a curious statement to the judge. He said that his client was rearrested, referencing Mr. Kwabena Aduboahene. But then he retracted that because that is not before the trial judge. Mr. Atachia, when you said Mr. Aduboahene was rearrested, what exactly did you mean?
Well, the judge, at the last sitting, the judge ordered that he should have his freedom yesterday. And they said they have another matter that they are investigating concerning him. So when he was supposed to have his freedom, by their calculation, they released him midnight and then rearrested him on the basis of the newfound matters they were looking at.
Lawyer Tachia also threatened that his client, Mr. Kwabena Aduboahene, would be forced to disclose top national security secrets if that is what he has to do to defend himself in the ongoing trial.
Are they pushing national security matters in the public domain? And if he should respond to those matters, are they not going to turn around that he has breached his oath of secrecy and the rest of them? You can't slap a man twice. It's unfair.
Lawyer Tachi, are you suggesting that when you use your own phrase, when push comes to shove, he will divulge national security secrets to defend himself?
He has no choice, because why should a man be found guilty when he's innocent and when he's dealing with national security matters?
He also explained why some information or letter written to the National Security Coordinator at the presidency found its way in the space of social media and some other traditional media.
It was unfortunate that it leaked, because the letter was intended for the National Security Coordinator, in which he was trying to let him know that where he is, national security matters are being raised. And he should come to terms with it. That's what he was trying to do.
Now, when Deputy Attorney General Justice Sai stepped out of the courtroom, I asked him what he makes of the orders issued by the court and the statement made by lawyer Atachia. This was what transpired. Counsel, any comment on the direction by the court? So the substantive case has been adjourned to May 26th, but the prosecution is expected to file their disclosures and witness statement by May 20th from the court complex. Latif Idris reporting for Joy News.
Railway workers have begun an indefinite sit-down strike, demanding months of unpaid salaries and calling for the privatization of the Ghana Railway Company Limited. They accuse the state-run company of mismanagement and say only bold reform can save the crumbling sector. Collins.
Who controls the house now? I've now become the woman and my wife is now the man.
Franklin Kobner used to stand tall as the breadwinner of his family. Today, he stands alone.
For me, it's my wife who controls the house now. I've now become the woman and my wife is now the man, doing everything for us, which is very, very, very bad on my side. And I think same.
Franklin is not just a railway worker. He's a father, a husband, a man now struggling to hold his family together due to government's failure to pay him. He's the secretary of the Railway Workers Union in Accra, and his story is painfully common across the country. Workers like him say they can no longer feed their children or keep them in school. Many now survive on borrowed money. We are in crisis and it is difficult for us. Most of us, our children attend private schools. They are not able to attend school because of our unpaid salaries.
But because of Aketone 120, into my school.
I know washing a bufu because you ain't 8 months.
We are angry. We can't wait for our children to be home while school is in session. If there isn't money, they should let us know.
All the time for borrowing.
Otherwise, we will be here until we are paid. This morning, the workers have laid down their tools, beginning an indefinite sit-down strike after repeated promises went unfulfilled. Justice Achampon is the Accra branch chairman of the Railways Workers Union, who told Joy News that the workers are calling for a full privatization of the sector.
We
are pleading with the government to turn to us. The company should be given to a private entity who can work, whether local or foreign companies. The railway sector is big, and if it becomes better, it will help all of us.
At Kupelga Basic School, children do not just learn, they suffer for it. They kneel, squat, and lie on bare floor just to take notes.
Now, some endure, others give up and head for Galamsey site. In a crumbling start, Emmanuel Jivenu reports on a school losing its fight to keep children in class.
A common way of preserving
It's just past 8 a.m. here at the Kupelga DA Basic School in the Talensi district of the Upper East region. GHS1 pupils are learning about food preservation, but there is little preservation of dignity here.
So when you are keeping the food, you shouldn't let it change.
They wear white uniforms, but that will not stay white for long. Some children are sprawled across the bare cement floor, legs stretched out, using their thighs as makeshift desk. Others, like Blessing Doc, spreads a cloth before sitting. She says her parents cannot afford to buy a chair for her either.
We don't have chairs, that's why we are sitting in the floor like that. As we ourselves, our mothers cannot buy chairs for us because they use the money to buy some things for us so that when they get money, they can buy chairs for us. We are not happy at all. Because we are using our white uniform to sit on the floor. It's not good for us to sit on the floor.
I told you that consumption means what?
Justice Banda removes his shoe and places them gently beneath his knees, not out of reverence, but necessity, to cushion his skin and keep it from bruising. This is his daily routine.
We are just kneeling down, and some of them are standing. Those people are having the chest, they are just sitting their chest. If you want to sit part of them, they are saying, you won't sit. Who told you that your father and your mother, they are not buying chairs for you, then their father and their mother buying chairs for him, then you want to go and sit? They are telling you like that. I'm not happy because I have not have chairs, that's why I'm not happy.
Some take turns to stand, balancing exercise books on pillars that now double as makeshift desk. Others lie flat on the floor, stretching their legs to create a surface to write on. This is not just an occasional inconvenience. For these pupils, this is the only way they have known school. The situation is affecting how they learn and how long they are able to stay focused. Linda Atanga has been here for the past 3 years.
If you stand and you are tired and your colleague feel that, okay, what is there, let me get up, and you also sit. Then they understand each other, then you sit.
Despite these conditions, some teachers continue to stay and teach out of commitment. But without urgent support, the school may continue to lose pupils to drop out and child labor.
I'll call on the Director General to be candid enough to hear our plea and send teachers to Kulpelga Junior High School. We also need the teachers. We need to compete with other schools.
Emmanuel Jivenu, Joy News.
Well, the CEO of Pekkan Energies Ghana is calling for stronger laws to make corporate social responsibility a must across all sectors. At an event to award full tertiary scholarships to students from underserved communities, she said many fishing areas still lack access to good education, healthcare, and basic infrastructure. Stephen Mensah has more in this report.
Come from a sub community in Kutuboko, Nyamobekim. Those the work that we major in was catching of crabs and washing of cars.
Edwin Tande wakes up each day with a decision no teenager should have to make: go fishing for crabs to survive. His mother, a struggling fishmonger, does what she can, but it has not been enough to keep Edwin in school. His dream of becoming a chemical engineer was slowly slipping through the cracks of poverty.
I used to hawk, and then literally my mom is a fishmonger, and then anytime I close from school, you come to the house, she's done smoking the fish, and she'll give you some, Edward, carry it and go and sell. Most of them that actually took time to or spent much time of this, they got detached from the academics in the sense that this work that we do was really exhausting. Yes, you return from catching of crabs, you return from washing of cars, and you feel exhausted. The next day you sleep, you don't even feel like waking up early to go to school.
Sandra's story is no different. Education became a luxury her family could not afford. She baked and sold pastries just to gather money for books she could not always buy.
I was hawking bread, so I bake and then I sell, saving money, hoping that I can make it through to the university. But it was even very difficult looking at the financial background of my family. Now there is a house where there is no money, so now you want to save. I save, and then the hardship at home even eats into my savings. There was no hope for me of going into the university.
But Edwin and Sandra are finally escaping that trap. They are among the recipients of the Pekkan Inspire Scholarship, an initiative by Pekkan Energies Ghana that fully funds tertiary education for underserved children. Khadija Amwa is the Chief Executive Officer.
We believe in making a difference in society and giving back to the people. And as you heard, lots of young people who would have been home, fishmongering, not that there's anything wrong with that, but if that's not what the person's ambitions are, they should not be limited to it. And so the idea is to lift people out of poverty and make a difference and give back.
For Edwin, Sandra and others like them, this is more than a chance to go to school. It is a second chance at chasing their dreams. Stephen Mentor's report for Joy News.
Well, it's time for Showbiz, and Queen Bex joins me in the studio.
Ta-da!
A round of applause.
Hello to you.
Drama Queen.
Hello to you,
I'm
Fosti.
fine, my darling. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing?
Good, dear.
Let's talk about the music industry, because Kim Promise is talking about the music industry and how we can make the industry a better place to live, how we can go out there with the music and solve all the problems in the world. So he was on Daybreak Hit this morning, and he's been talking about his Artist of the Year win.
You know?
And so he's been asked what he thinks that he could change in this music industry. Kim Promise, everybody.
What to change there? I don't know about what to change, but what we can change as artists is to come together, bro. Really, we can't say Ghana to the world and be moving individually, which is what one thing I try to not do. I try to involve and engage my brothers in the industry from time to time. You know, I've pulled up for everybody when they needed me. From time to time, I've done collaborations where anyone we need. Like even my last tour, my brother Darko with me. I've had Kwabena MP on tour with me before. I have had Olive the Boy. I have had Camido. Like whatever way where we can collaborate as a unit, because that's what our cousins in Nigeria do. You know what I mean? Like I remember when I was on tour, not this one, the one before. It was just me, the only Ghanaian on tour at the time. But then in the same states, there was Mayor Kun, there was Rema, there was this, and everyone was pulling up for us, everyone. It's like they were moving together as a unit and as a force, and it made stronger impact than just one person, and then I felt alone. So I believe it's about time we also come together and make music with each other. We need to push together as a unit, because they say prayer is the way it is.
Yeah, a couple more.
Yeah, it's hard to break it, but when we are together, you understand, that's one thing I really heavily believe in. We need to stop seeing each other as, you know, competition, rather than letting it inspire ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not your enemy. You know what I mean? And this goes out to like people, like the mindset has to change. Where if you see your brother going on or doing something, it will say, oh, be like, damn, my brother did this, I can do it too. Rather than, why is it him and not me? You understand what I mean?
So Andy and her team of Immortal Warriors are back with a renewed sense of purpose in their mission to protect the world. It's something that you should look forward to, Fosti. So I'm introducing.
It means I have to go and get the part one.
It's on Netflix. It's not easy. You're watching it tomorrow. Then on July 2, we're watching this together. We're going to have like a whole watch party.
That's right.
In the Joy Newsroom.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that. Well, that's how we wrap up Joy News Prime. I'll let Becky tell you where you can find more news. But then you need to stick and stay with us, because coming up on PM Express later today, we have an exclusive conversation with Phoebe Fiavikwete of the NDC, as we're looking at some of the key issues that have come up so far, especially that controversial gift that Sammy Jenfi gave to Nana Agrada. You want to stick and stay at 10 p.m.
October bonds are in the business. Well, log on to myjoyonline.com. That's where you find all the news. And stay with PM Express this evening. Also, Pius Kojo Baka will be here with Prime Business. You don't want to miss it.
Bye.